we at Meta are going to have an AI that can effectively be a sort of mid-level engineer that can write code.
All right, so you want to talk about AI writing code and how that's going to maybe like totally shake things up in software engineering.
Right.
We're diving deep today into Mark Zuckerberg's take on all this.
Okay.
We've got some really cool excerpts from his interview with Joe Rogan. And he makes some pretty bum predictions about the future of coding, particularly at Meta.
It's interesting because
like their vision for where things are headed?
Yeah, Zuckerberg really thinks that Meta will have AI working basically as mid-level engineers by 2025, like writing code.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, does Meta even have the resources to pull that off?
Well, that's the thing. Meta has like tons of resources. I mean, they've got the money, they've got the computing power.
Yeah.
I think if anyone can do it, it's probably going to be them.
I mean, just imagine the impact of that, though, if like AI could handle a good chunk of the coding work.
Right.
I mean, how much faster would development be?
Oh, it would be exponentially faster.
Would we be seeing new features and products like every other day?
I think you could be pushing updates daily.
Wow.
Maybe even hourly.
So like, forget waiting weeks or months for the latest app update. It's just happening constantly.
Yeah, that's the kind of efficiency that Zuckerberg is talking about.
Okay, but hold on. What happens to all the human software engineers?
Right.
Are they just out of a job?
Well, Zuckerberg seems to think that AI will be more like a partner than a replacement.
So like working alongside humans?
Yeah, he sees AI being able to handle the repetitive stuff.
The boring stuff.
Yeah, like writing boilerplate code for things like shopping carts or payment processing, things like that.
So like all the tedious tasks that no one really enjoys doing anyway?
Yeah, and this would free up human engineers to really focus on the creative and the more complex aspects of software development.
So like instead of spending hours hunting down a missing semicolon,
right,
engineers could be, I don't know, like brainstorming the next killer app or something.
Exactly. They could be focusing on user experience, innovation, really the big picture strategic stuff.
That actually sounds kind of nice.
Yeah, AI takes care of the nuts and bolts and humans get to focus on the bigger vision.
But okay, I got to bring up something that kind of throws a wrench in all this AI as a partner stuff.
Okay.
Salesforce's CEO, Mark Benioff, he actually announced a hiring freeze on software engineers.
Oh, wow.
Starting in 2025. And he specifically said that AI productivity gains are the reason.
Interesting.
So it's like, okay, here's a real-world example of a company saying, we don't need as many engineers anymore because AI is doing the job.
It does seem to contradict that vision of AI as this collaborator.
Right. It's confusing.
But it's interesting, if you look closer at what Benioff is saying, he claims that they've seen a 30% productivity boost from AI.
So they're getting more done with fewer engineers.
Right.
But isn't that a paradox? They're investing in AI tools that are displacing engineers?
It is a very complex situation.
And at the same time, Zuckerberg's over here saying that AI is going to create more opportunities for engineers.
It's almost like we're in this weird in-between phase. There's definitely some tension there.
So what's the answer? Is AI going to help engineers or replace them?
Well, here's something even crazier.
Okay.
Salesforce is actually planning on hiring more salespeople.
More salespeople?
Yeah, specifically to sell the AI tools that are supposedly displacing the engineers.
So they're betting on AI to create a new market while also knowing it could disrupt an existing one.
It is a very interesting paradox.
It sounds like we're on the edge of a massive shift in tech.
Oh, absolutely.
And no one really knows how it's all going to shake out.
Yeah, it's a period of massive change and uncertainty for sure.
But one thing is for sure.
Yeah.
AI is changing the game.
Oh, the way we build software is being transformed right before our eyes.
It's kind of exciting.
Definitely a little scary, too.
Yeah, but definitely exciting.
I mean, it really makes you think, you know,
I mean,
about what it means to be a software engineer in this like age of AI, right? It's like,
oh, yeah.
What does the future even hold for these folks?
Yeah, it's like we're watching an entire industry transform in real time.
Right in front of us.
And like the implications are huge.
Think about it. For decades, it's all been about like lines of code, carefully crafted, you know, by human engineers by hand.
Yeah.
But now we're talking about the very nature of that code, like changing.
You mentioned that earlier.
Yes.
Like, could we move beyond these like traditional programming languages that we all know?
Yeah. What if we're moving towards something completely different?
And this is what? Something that AI can understand better.
Yeah. Something that it can manipulate more efficiently.
So what would that look like? Like if it's not lines of text, what is it?
Imagine like visual representations of logic, almost like flowcharts, but on a much grander scale, or algorithms expressed as like mathematical formulas that just translate directly into machine instructions.
So instead of like lines of Java or Python, it's like diagrams and equations. I don't even know if I can wrap my head around that.
It is a pretty wild concept.
How would humans even interact with that kind of code? I mean, that sounds incredibly complex.
And that's really where the challenge lies.
Okay.
I mean, we'd need entirely new tools and techniques.
Like what?
Even work with this AI-generated code.
Yeah.
Like, imagine debugging tools that can, like, translate these really abstract concepts into something that humans can actually understand and manipulate.
That's almost like a whole new language.
It is.
It's not even just a way of writing code. It's like a whole new language.
It really is a new way of thinking.
So what does that mean for all those software engineers out there, like the ones who've spent years mastering, Python, Java, all those languages?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a call to action for them to embrace continuous learning.
Meaning?
I mean, the ability to adapt, to acquire new skills, that's going to be like the most important thing.
So are you saying that software engineers basically need to go back to school?
Not necessarily go back to school, but like be willing to constantly learn and evolve.
So it's not enough to just know like the syntax of a language anymore.
No, it's about like developing a whole new way of thinking about software.
So less about writing code, like line by line.
Yes.
And more about understanding like the bigger picture.
Exactly.
The logic, the architecture.
There are underlying concepts that drive the software,
And that's where humans still have the edge, right? Like AI might be able to crank out code, but it's the humans who are coming up with the ideas, the vision.
Absolutely. AI might be able to generate code based on very specific instructions, but it's humans that are defining the goals, the constraints, and the overall vision.
So we need to like guide the AI, make sure it's actually building something useful.
Refine its output, for sure.
So it's more of a collaborative model.
Yeah, it's a partnership.
AI and humans working together.
Where AI can kind of take care of that heavy lifting, the repetitive tasks, all the calculations.
Yeah, like all the grunt work. And then humans are freed up to like do the creative problem solving.
Exactly. Focusing on the big ideas, the user experience, the strategic thinking.
It's kind of like AI is the brawn, humans are the brains.
I like that. That's a good analogy.
But okay, if AI is going to be handling like all the technical stuff, what skills are actually going to matter for humans in this new world? Like, what do we need to be good at?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And there's no one easy answer.
Right.
But it really boils down to those skills that make us, well, human.
Like what?
Things like creativity, problem solving, critical thinking, communication.
Okay, but those are pretty general.
They are.
Like, how do those actually translate to this world of like AI-driven software development?
Well, let's take creativity, for example.
Okay.
In this context, it might mean finding innovative solutions to problems that AI just hasn't been trained to solve yet.
So like thinking outside the box?
Exactly. Or maybe it means designing user interfaces that are super intuitive and engaging.
Yeah.
Even if the underlying code is incredibly complex.
So finding the human element?
Yes.
In a world that's becoming more and more automated?
Exactly.
Okay, I get that.
And then you have problem solving.
Okay.
I mean, we're still going to need to be able to like identify the root cause of issues, even within AI-generated code.
Yeah.
This requires like a deep understanding of how the software is supposed to work, but also the limitations of the AI that created it.
So it's almost like we need to be able to think like the AI.
In a way, yeah.
Anticipate where it might go wrong.
Right, because it's not going to be perfect.
Right.
So we need to be able to kind of step in and troubleshoot.
So we're not just going to be handing the reins over to AI and like letting it do its thing.
Definitely not. We still need to be very much involved in the process.
Guiding it, checking its work.
Making sure that it's meeting our standards, absolutely.
And of course, you mentioned communication.
Oh, yeah. Communication is going to be key.
Why?
As AI becomes more integrated into everything.
Yeah.
We need people who can bridge that gap between the technical teams and, the non-technical folks, like the clients, the stakeholders.
So being able to explain this complex AI stuff in a way that everyone can understand.
Exactly, because not everyone is going to be a coding whiz.
Right.
But they need to understand how AI is impacting their work, their business.
So strong communication skills, both written and verbal.
Absolutely essential.
It's almost like being a translator.
That's a good way to put it.
Between the world of humans and the world of machines.
Exactly. You've got it.
Okay, so we've talked about the skills, but I want to circle back something you said earlier about how the very nature of code itself is changing.
Right.
Like, what does that actually mean? What's the future of programming as we know it?
Imagine code is no longer just a set of instructions for a machine to execute.
Okay.
But it's more like a blueprint.
Okay.
A representation of like concepts, relationships, and logic that AI can then interpret and translate into functional software.
So instead of telling the machine exactly what to do step by step, we're giving it like a high-level understanding of what we want to achieve.
Exactly.
And it figures out the how.
Yes, it's like moving from a manual transmission to an automatic one.
I like that.
We're shifting that burden of low-level execution to the AI.
Interesting.
Freeing us up to focus on that bigger picture.
But wouldn't that require like a fundamental shift in how we think about programming? Because right now, we're taught to break down problems into tiny little steps.
Right.
Write code that explicitly tells the machine what to do at every single stage.
Yeah, and you're right. This new paradigm would require a very different approach.
So how do we do that?
One that focuses more on defining the desired outcomes and the constraints rather than like the specific steps involved.
It's almost like we're moving away from procedural programming to something more declarative.
Exactly.
Like we're saying what we want, not necessarily how to get there.
That's a great way to put it.
And that makes sense for AI, right? Because it's good at optimization, finding the most efficient path.
Exactly. It can handle those complex calculations, find the shortcuts that we might miss.
So by shifting our focus to the what, we can leverage the AI's strengths
to build even more powerful, sophisticated software.
But, okay, how do we make sure the AI actually understands what we want?
Right.
What if there are, like, ambiguities or unforeseen edge cases?
And those are excellent questions. That's why we need robust testing and validation frameworks.
For the AI-generated code.
Absolutely.
So we can't just let the AI go rogue.
We need to make sure it's behaving as expected, meeting the requirements, and not introducing any, like, weird side effects.
So it's about finding that balance between human oversight and AI economy.
That's the sweet spot.
It's like a dance.
It is.
A delicate dance between humans and machines.
And the music's just getting started.
This whole thing's a revolution.
It is.
What's this going to mean for the software industry as a whole?
Well, we're already seeing the effects, right? Companies are pouring money into AI research. Startups are popping up everywhere trying to address these new challenges and opportunities.
Universities are trying to catch up, change their curriculum to prepare the next generation of engineers.
It's a tidal wave.
It is.
And the companies that can ride that wave, they're the ones that are going to thrive.
So what do you tell someone who's maybe already in the tech industry?
Yeah.
Or maybe thinking about a career in software?
I would say embrace AI. Don't be afraid of it.
Don't run from it.
Don't run from it. Learn about it, experiment with it, find ways to integrate it into your work.
But how? Where do they even begin?
Start with the basics.
Okay.
Learn about machine learning, how algorithms work.
Yeah.
Explore the different AI tools that are out there.
Okay.
There are tons of resources online. You don't need to become an expert overnight.
Just dive in.
Just start exploring and don't be afraid to experiment.
Okay.
I mean, that's the best way to learn.
Yeah, get your hands dirty.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. Any other advice?
Yeah, stay curious, stay adaptable, and be passionate about this stuff because it's only going to get more exciting from here.
All right, so we've covered a ton of ground here.
We have.
Talking about this big shift in software development.
Yeah.
AI taking on more and more of the coding work. But let's get down to brass tacks.
Okay.
What can someone actually do to prepare for this?
Right. How do you actually get ready for this AI-powered future?
That's the question, right?
Well, I think it starts with mindset.
Okay.
You got to embrace this idea that learning is continuous now.
So even if you're a seasoned engineer, you got to be ready to keep learning.
Absolutely. It's not a one-time thing anymore.
It's like always be learning.
Always be learning.
New skills, new technologies.
It's about expanding your toolkit.
So where do you even start? Like, what should someone be focusing on?
I think you start with the basics of AI.
Yeah.
Machine learning, how algorithms work, the different types of AI tools out there.
That sounds pretty technical.
It is.
What if you're not like a coding whiz already?
That's Okay, there are so many resources online now for all different skill levels.
So you don't need to be like a PhD in computer science to get started.
Absolutely not. You can start small, take some online courses. There are interactive tutorials, even just play around with some of the free AI tools that are out there.
So it's more about like getting familiar with the concepts.
Exactly.
Kind of getting a feel for what AI can do.
Yeah, the hands-on experience is so valuable.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because the more you experiment, the more you're going to understand both the potential and the limitations of AI in coding.
Okay, this makes you think about those like prompt engineers we keep hearing about.
Oh, yeah.
Is that like an actual job? And what do they even do?
It is becoming a very real job.
Really?
And a very in-demand skill set.
Okay.
It's like this AI is super powerful, but it needs direction.
Right.
A prompt engineer is someone who can give the AI the right instructions.
So, like, tell it what to do.
Yeah, the right prompts to get the desired output.
It's like you're speaking AI.
Kind of.
You're translating human ideas into something that the AI can understand.
That's a great way to put it.
And that's going to be super important as AI starts taking on more of these, like, complex coding tasks.
Yeah, because it's not enough to just have the AI.
Right.
You need to know how to communicate with it effectively.
So how does this change, like, software teams?
Oh, that's a big question.
Will we still need, like, the traditional roles, or is everything going to be totally different?
I think some roles will definitely evolve.
Okay.
And some new ones will emerge.
Like what?
We'll probably see more specialization within teams.
Okay.
You'll have your AI specialists, your prompt engineers, but we're also going to need people who can bridge the gap between the
between the AI and the human users.
So someone who understands both sides.
Yeah, the technical side and the human side.
It's almost like a software whisperer.
I like that.
Someone who can translate between the two worlds.
Right, because at the end of the day, we're building software for humans.
Right. It still needs to be user-friendly.
It needs to be something that people actually want to use.
So this all makes me wonder about, like, education.
Yeah.
Are universities keeping up with all of this?
I think it's a challenge for them.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep pace with how quickly AI is evolving.
So what should someone who's studying computer science today, what should they be focusing on?
I think the fundamentals are still crucial.
Like what?
Strong programming skills, understanding of algorithms and data structures, and a solid grasp of AI concepts.
Okay, but it's not just about the technical stuff anymore, right?
No, the soft skills are becoming just as important.
So like what?
Communication.
Communication, collaboration, problem solving. Being able to work on a team.
Adaptability, all of that.
So it's not just about being a code monkey anymore.
Yep.
You got to be well-rounded.
You got to be able to think critically, communicate effectively, and be a good team player.
Because those are the things that AI can't do.
Exactly. Those are the skills that make us uniquely human.
And those are the skills that are going to be in high demand.
Absolutely.
It's both exciting and a little bit overwhelming.
It is.
Any final words of wisdom for our listeners as they navigate this crazy new world?
Embrace the change.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to experiment, to learn new things, to step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah. Be open to new possibilities.
The future of software development belongs to those who are adaptable, curious, and passionate about this stuff.
Great advice. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
It's been an amazing conversation.
Yeah, it really has.
And to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI.
The future is yours to code.
That's a good one. I like that.